everyone. Welcome back to Authors on the Air. I'm your host, James Latwell. With us today, we've got one of my favorite authors, and that's Samantha Downing. Samantha, this is your fifth book. You've had a role. I mean, you came out of the box hot with with your Edgar nominated debut, My Lovely Wife, and then now we're talking about Too Old for This.
Yes.
This is so unique and so fun. It just there's so much to talk about this book, but you have to be excited about the buzz you've gotten with the early reviews on this book.
I am, and thank you for having me. First of all, it's always nice to talk to you. And I'm really glad that people are liking even just the idea of this book, of having an older protagonist like this. There's been a few other big books that have them, and this one in particular is, of course, a serial killer. And so it's always nice when the buzz starts. I mean, it's a good feeling after so much work, and the book has been done for a while and you're waiting for it to come out, and you just don't know what kind of reaction it's going to get.
That's always that waiting period is always something. But can you tell folks a little bit without spoilers what Lottie is up to in this book? She's a great character.
Yeah, thank you. Lottie Jones is a 75-year-old retired serial killer, and she is forced out of retirement when someone comes to her door and threatens to blow up her quiet life. She's living under an assumed name and not killing at the moment, and all of that is basically threatened to blow her up her life and expose her. So she has to go back to work. And, it's not so easy when you're 75 to go back to doing things when you were younger.
Yeah. And you the way you portray that in the book is hilarious. I mean, we're dealing with a serial killer. It's a very dark, twisted kind of story, but there is so much dark humor in this book. I mean, I found myself just giggling like a little idiot sitting in the corner while I was reading this book. I mean, that's a fine balance to do that in a thriller and keep the pace, but yet you have this dark humor thread through it. How did you balance that?
I've always had dark humor is one of my favorite things, and when it's done right, it's just brilliant. So I have always strive to have this in my books, and I'm naturally a pretty sarcastic person, so the one-liner kind of things sort of come to me naturally, especially in Lottie's voice. Lottie was such a just seemed so alive from the moment I started writing her, and has a bit of cynicism and a bit of been there, done that, and kind of an attitude. And she was just, I just could imagine the kinds of things that she was thinking, and some of them come out kind of funny, hopefully. I don't write really bleak stories. It seems like it would be very dark about a serial killer, but it's not bleak or depressing. I typically don't write that kind of thing.
No, that's true. Now, there are a couple of scenes throughout the book that just hit me. They were so good. There are scenes with Lottie and her church lady friends when they get together playing bingo or whatever. Just the dialogue and the banter that they would have back and forth. I mean, how did you go about creating that ensemble for this book? Because it works, and it rung so true.
Yeah, the bingo is a thing, as I discovered. My grandma used to play it. She was a huge bingo player and would take trips to go play bingo, and had her bingo nights all scheduled out and what have you. And I wanted them to really feel like real people, to not be infantilized, which you see that. And I don't even know if I'm saying that word right, because I do that. Us readers, we read words and don't always say them out loud, but I didn't want to make it seem like they were children or playing a game. They are adults with 7 decades of life behind them. So they are a little funny and self-deprecating and they want to drink at bingo. And so, like, why can't you? You're 75 years old. It's not like you're underage, but that's not allowed in church. So I wanted to put in funny things like that where they feel like they're being talked down to and they realize they're being talked down to.
Yeah, that was so good. Now, getting to Lottie again, I mean, the character is so unique. It's 75-year-old retired serial killer. When you set out to write this book, how did you how did you get in your head about that's the person I want to have featured in this book? A 75-year-old woman.
I actually had been writing a different book with a much younger protagonist, and I wasn't really excited about it. And
Hmm.
at the time, I was actually going through a number of health problems that really affected my mobility, and I had to have a couple of surgeries. And when you have mobility issues, particularly after years of being an active person, could no longer be, and you adapt and you
Mhm.
adjust because you have to. And it's a pain, but you do it. And I kind of created this older protagonist instead and sort of channeled all of that into her. She needs to adjust and adapt to so many things now, not only her age and her condition, but also technology in the world has changed, science has changed. And so she's constantly adapting and adjusting. And I kind of just channeled all those frustrations into her and made them her frustrations instead.
Well, that totally worked because I mean, you did capture Lottie, coming out of retirement, and the landscape has changed for her since she, was working before.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned, technology is changed and the science has changed. What are some of the things that you had to do to kind of prepare Lottie for those changes? I mean, you had to do some research with what she does and how she tries to get away with things without.
Absolutely. And technology is everywhere now. So every time I'm writing a scene, I'm thinking, would a camera be there? But what about those cell phones? If she carrying a cell phone, it has to be tracked. And I do the same thing when I'm either reading books or watching movies. I think, oh no, they would be able to track that person because everybody knows cell phones can be tracked.
Yep.
So I did do some research. I was at the Mystery Writers Conference last year, which is held at Book Passage, and they always have a cyber expert there, and they have a forensic expert there. And I was able to go with a list of questions and say, help me out. What's possible? What's not? What can I skip? And get some expert advice on what could be done so that everything could be at least technically correct.
No, and I think the way you kind of unfolded that for Lottie, it's like she didn't even think about those things, and now it's like I've got to, cover my tracks. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And she makes the point that a lot of the older serial killers, the famous ones from the 70s and 80s, would have been caught immediately
yeah,
from if they had DNA evidence, if they had tracking and cameras and GPS in cars and all of that.
yeah, very very true. Now, what was the hardest part for you about writing this book with this collection of characters in it? Because they're all so good. I mean, there's nobody that's just a set piece in here. They're all in the book for a reason, and they're a
Mhm.
great supporting cast for Lottie. What was the most difficult part for you about creating this book?
Probably deciding who was going to make it to the end, who wasn't. Um, I try to make when I'm dealing with a lot of characters, I try to make them as unique as possible so that there's no confusion for the readers, and that you could put the book down and back to it the next day and not be confused about who was who. So to make them distinct, whether it's through their name or a characteristic that they have, some reminder to the reader of, oh, that's this person, because it's hard to keep track of a lot of characters and a lot of character names. So I do really put lot of work into both their name and who they are to try to remind readers without seeming like I'm reminding readers who they are.
No, it's very subtle, but I think you did a really good job of it. Now,
Thank you.
you mentioned Book Passage. We were just there, just a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
Um, what what kind of advice would you give some of the new and aspiring writers who are trying to jump into the scene? You've had 5 wonderful books under your belt. What kind of guidance would you give those new people?
The first thing I would say is sit down and write if you haven't already, and see if it's something you even enjoy doing. Because as writers, that's what we do the most of. We are sitting alone usually in front of a computer, sometimes handwriting, and writing. And if you don't enjoy that process of writing, there might be a better creative outlet for you. You need to actually want to do it and enjoy the process of doing it. So if you've gotten past that and decided that writing is the thing, keep writing, because writing and reading in your genre, out of your genre, all the reading can only help you. So everything may not be published. And even to this day, I write things that never make it to publication, but it's all practice. It's all experimental. It all helps in the end. What's that theory of 10,000 hours of something and you become an
Yeah.
expert or what have you? Well, it probably takes at least that much for writing, at least for me anyway.
Yeah. Now, with those 5 books that you have, I mean, like we said, you came out with my lovely wife. Right. McCavity, Edgar Award nominated. Just it was everywhere. And now you've got this one, and quite honestly, I expect this one to get the same kind of attention because it's already making the most anticipated book lists, and it's not out until August 12th. So, I mean, you have to feel good about that. It's like you've hit a trajectory here that's just it's amazing, and I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, and I'm as surprised as anybody that people do want to read dark stories like this, or stories where they that have a certainly morally questionable person or possibly morally void person as a protagonist. There are a few examples of it in the past, like Dexter,
Hmm.
and like Carolyn Kepney's books, the You series, but it
Yeah.
is not the most asked for genre type of a book. Most books have a more sympathetic protagonist than this. So the fact that people have a desire to read this kind of thing is surprising to me, but I very much appreciate that there are people out there that want to read books like this.
Yeah. I mean, Lottie's done a lot of things in her past, and she comes out of retirement in this book. But there's something about her and just the way she approaches life that you want to root for her. I mean, she's a serial killer, but you just want to say, "Come on, Lottie, you can do it." Uh, what, how, how did you pull that off? Because that's really really tough to do, to get this very dark serial killer character, but there's some humanity there that you really just want to get behind her and root for her.
Well, I wish there was an easy way to do it, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, Lottie has a full life aside from the serial killing. She has a child who is a grown adult. She has a
Right.
grandchildren. She has a daughter-in-law and possibly a second daughter-in-law. And uh, and then she has her friends and her social circle at the church. So she has this entirely full life that is almost compartmentalized away from her serial and has nothing to do with her serial killing. So she is satisfied with that life at this point. She didn't actually want to go out and kill. And I looked at serial killing as anything that you might get tired of doing, like going out to a nightclub. Eventually that just becomes tiring and you don't want to do it anymore, or going out on dates or whatever. And that was the same for her, where it just was so much effort to kill somebody and to get away with it that eventually she didn't want to do it anymore. It was too much. And so I think that those types of things that Lottie is going through are the things people can relate to. They can pick out
Mhm.
other things that they've dropped not serial killing, but something else that they just don't feel like doing anymore. It's so much work. Or the family complications that she has, or the friends that she's not her friends that she's trying to navigate her. I don't know why I can't say that, social circle. And so I think that there's enough there that people can relate to. Also, people may have elderly parents. They may be elderly parents. They have elderly grandparents. So everybody has somebody in their family who is maybe of that age, and now maybe giving a little side eye to wondering what their secret life is like.
Exactly. No, it was such a fun book, and I'm just so happy for you. Um, Now, where can folks find you? I imagine you're going to be, making some appearances here very soon.
Yep. My website is samanthadowning.com, and there are links to social media. I have a few events coming up. I will be at Book Passage on August 20th at 6 p.m. And then I will also be at BoucherCon in New Orleans in the beginning of September. So a few live events coming up.
Very good. No, I'll see you at BoucherCon. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In New
I mean,
Orleans.
yeah, that's true. Almost back home for you.
Yes, exactly. Second home, I guess.
Yeah.
Second home.
But I mean, we were at Book Passages recently together, but I didn't get a lot of chance to talk with you because I think we were just on opposite panel tracks at the same times. But yeah, it's always good to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. We're going to end up with 3 quick hits, and
Okay.
it's just 3 questions in Lottie's headspace. So just kind of put yourself in her
Okay.
head, and just 3 quick questions. What's Lottie's favorite drink? What does she like to imbibe in?
Tea. Definitely tea.
Yeah, and be very careful if Lottie invites you for tea.
Yes.
Yes. How about her music? What does Lottie listen to?
I think she would listen to old music from the 80s and her former heyday, 80s and 90s music, probably.
Okay, I can see that. And how about Lottie's greatest fear?
Being caught and exposed, and that her family and friends finding out about her past.
Yeah, I agree. That fits. Folks, we've been talking with Samantha Downing, the wonderful author who wrote this one, Too Old for This. And I really encourage you to go out and get it. People are going to be talking about this book all year, and you don't want to be left out. So Samantha, always good to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you too.
All right. You take care.
You too.